The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Johnny to my Daniel son, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
I don't know. It's been a weird mix this week, Garrett.
It's been quite a walk down memory lane, hasn't it?
Absolutely. On one hand, I'm doing great since I didn't have to listen to a garbage album. On the other hand, I did re-listen to select parts of many terrible albums, and the albums that I picked for my top 5, I listened to all the way through at least once.
Wow.
I will never do that again.
No album this week, or could you say all of the albums? We're doing the year in review. This is a rare opportunity, Tim. We decided, let's discuss the worst of the worst, the ones that really got under our skin. And if you stick around with us, we'll also give you something that a lot of folks have asked for. We're going to talk about some stuff that we actually enjoyed this year. Some music that, when we weren't listening to absolute garbage for your entertainment, we managed to take in some new bands. But Tim, I gotta tell you, going back through these albums was, I laughed, I cried, and mostly I just shuddered.
This was a mistake.
You're right. This was brutal. We didn't confer beforehand, as we almost never do, because we don't want to give each other ideas. In case you couldn't tell, constant battle back and forth to determine who is truly hosting the show. What was your thinking when you were picking your top 5 albums?
I was pretty conflicted. I didn't know if I should be judging the album versus the experience itself. I tried my best to stick with what I believe are the 5 worst albums we listened to, the albums that I hated the most, regardless of whether or not I thought they were particularly good episodes. For example, the band Slipknot. They sound like a school bus filled with demons and screaming flaming children crashing through a cymbal factory. They're almost impossible to listen to for a few minutes at a time. However, knowing how much you were hating it, pretty good week for me.
It also brought us Taste the Crow.
Yes, true. I tried to go with what albums I thought were actually the worst, not what weeks I hated the most.
Interesting. My list is a wild hodgepodge of varying criteria, filled with contradictions, a hypocrisy, and I don't stand behind any of them.
Well, it's hard to. We had 49 albums to choose from, and I think that realistically, 42 of them could have made this list.
Oh yeah, you got a head start on me and you were talking about how difficult a time you were having whittling it down to 5, and I thought you were just, as usual, complaining for no reason. In this instance, Tim, you were right. It was incredibly hard to whittle it down to 5, so much so that both Tim and I, without letting the other one know, this is the God's honest truth, came up with a secondary list of 5 that we are deeming honorable mention. Luckily, we both just managed to do it without telling the other.
Yep.
You probably took a much better approach to this. I have a mix of albums I despise, people I hate, and weeks that were just the worst.
In all honesty, I will probably end up with about that same thing, but I at least started out with noble goals.
You always do. Before you know it, your pants are gone and you're screaming.
It's alcohol,
Horrible.
Garrett.
Oh.
It's alcohol. That's what's to blame. That's what's taking those pants off.
No, Tim, you are taking your pants off.
Well, okay, fair enough, but alcohol is making me take my pants off. It is alcohol's fault. I will accept zero blame.
Rock solid alibi. You want to get into this list?
Sure.
Coming at number 5 of the worst albums we did this year. Number 5, Metallica, Saint Anger, episode 19, May 29th, 2018.
Was I supposed to write down the dates we did these?
No.
Okay, because I did not. I mean, it's a great choice. It is not on my list, but it's a goddamn good choice.
Let me take you through it, man. I didn't realize just how often I will listen to 1 to 3 Metallica songs just for fun while maybe I'm running to the grocery store. And that week ruined this band for me, maybe for good, because every time I listen to them, all I can picture is those therapy sessions with Dr. Towel.
Oh, that warms my heart, Garrett. Knowing that something you love was ruined by this show, or probably not even love, just something you didn't hate was brought into the hate camp by this show. And I like to think a little bit by me.
Oh, a lot by you. You've ruined plenty of things in life for me.
That's true.
You're ruining my life.
But I've got great news for you on that front, Garrett.
Oh, yeah? How's that?
We have at least one more Metallica album to do. Well, it's half a Metallica album. At some point, we have to get to Lulu, the Metallica Lou Reed crossover album that I believe makes Saint Anger look like...
Prince's Purple Rain?
Sure. I was going to go with a Metallica album, but sure.
Little look behind the curtain, guys. Tim and I have gotten into screaming matches over this album. He has tried to inject this into our world repeatedly, even post Saint Anger.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly the week after Saint Anger.
I did definitely argue for it the week after.
And I've kept it out.
We got to do it, Garrett.
I know we're going to, but it is as long as it is awful. A few highlights from the Metallica album, if I may. We'll all remember Bob Haircut.
Yep.
Famed record producer Bob Rock is his real name. We call him Bob Haircut because he is just got the most glorious mane this side of a Garnier Fructis commercial. But Tim, I have something special for the folks and for you. I've done some digging. I did a bit of research to see what our good friend, Dr. Phil Towell, is up to today.
Oh.
Well, lucky for you and I, you can find Dr. Towell on the World Wide Web, and I did. I perused his website.
Hold on. Now, before we started this episode, you brought in a writhing, punching sack, and it sounds like it's trying to scream. There's something's clearly muffling the screams.
I was going to say, that sounds nothing like a scream, Tim. That sounds like, at most, like a muffled scream.
Right. Let me just ask, when you say you reached out to Dr. Towell, is Dr. Towell in that bag?
Is Dr. Towell in the sack? That's what you're asking me?
That is what I'm asking you on the air. Is Dr. Towell in the sack?
A man. You're asking, is there a man?
No. I'm asking if it's Dr. Towell. I know there's a man in there, Garrett. There's clearly a man in there.
You don't know the gender of anything that's anywhere that you can't see.
No, you can judge shoulders. That's a man.
You're asking specifically if there is a man that goes by the name of Dr. Towell in this sack.
Yes.
Nope.
All right, what am I missing?
Nothing, as long as you don't have any more questions about my sack.
Who is in the sack?
Not important for the episode. So if you go to Dr. Towell's website, you will find a page that has testimonials. And on that page, you will find a testimonial from Mr. Kirk Hammett. And it reads, now, Tim, hold on to your hat, because this is ridiculous. If Lennon and McCartney had Phil, the Beatles would have never broken up. The audacity. Folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to the episode. But before you listen to the episode, go watch Some Kind of Monster, the documentary on the making of this album, because it really, well, first of all, we reference the shit out of it in the episode, so it's going to help. But it helps you to understand the mind frame that these guys are in, the amount of seething, passive-aggressive anger and undealt with petty bullshit between these grown-ass men, one of whom is like 4 days sober. It's incredible, but you will lose all respect for Metallica as people, musicians, men.
Yeah, people should not be humanized. There should be a nice distance kept between all individuals, so we never have this problem.
That's not what I meant at all. I also found one other thing, Tim, that we didn't talk about during our Metallica episode. Most people don't know. I am typically responsible for writing the episode notes, and I doubt anyone ever reads them, but I put a little bit of work into them, some weeks more than others. I found some alternate show notes that I did not include for the week we released this album, and if I may, I'd like to read them.
You may.
It looks like I was going for a real world parody. Tim, this will probably be lost on you since you were living in the House of Sound at the time, but if anybody's familiar with the opening to the real world, at least for the first 10 years of it, it went something like this. This is the true story of three strangers, a therapist and a glorified haircut, picked to make an album, work together, and have their music taped. Find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. Saint Anger, the 8th studio album by Metallica.
I like it.
I can see why I didn't go with it. The only other thing that stands out to me from that album, Tim, and I'm surprised I don't do it to you more, but you may recall from the song Invisible Kid, in the last minute, if that, James Hetfield just starts going, ooh, what a good boy you are.
Oh, I remember, Garrett.
Yeah.
I still dream about it.
In what capacity?
It's unclear. They start out as nightmares and then,
And then you take control?
That's right. I am a noted lucid dreamer.
No, you are at the forefront of the lucid dreaming community.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple strangers come up to you and refer to you only as Dream Master. I'll be honest, they're of a very specific type, typically long unwashed hair. Some of them don't even seem to have shoes. I would not seek the respect of these people.
I am their leader.
Right. That's my point. Tim, what is your number 5 least good album of the year?
My number 5, Avril Lavigne's self-titled album.
She's not even on my list.
This album, I was embarrassed for her by. You know me, Garrett. I lack almost all empathy. Now, of the two of us, I'm not the one who lacks empathy the most. I still aspire to your level. But this whole thing made me feel like I was not just watching, but actually in the room during an episode of the British version of The Office. It was cringe-inducing.
That's true.
A good portion of it is a complete ripoff from another album from our show, Gwendolen Stefani's Lobster Asshole Martini Baby. The Nickelback asshole played a very prominent role in writing, producing, guitaring, and singing. She pretends to be a teenager for large sections of it.
Yeah.
There's the faux rebellion bullshit, the if we don't get harassed by the motherfucking cops.
Oh, I forgot. She gets street on one of them.
That's right. She raps. She pretends to be in high school. She lets us know she likes the taste of semen.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Honey is very yum, Garrett. It's gross.
Oh, is Dick Honey?
It's Dick Honey. Anytime you hear honey, it's a Dick Honey reference.
No, because sometimes I get honey in a glass of tea if I have a sore throat. That's not semen.
Sure.
Oh my God. Why would they put semen in it?
There's a pro-incest song.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about a 17-year-old she wants to bang, and then later in an interview, she mentioned that a lot of the stories in that song are true things that she and her brother did.
Oh, that's right. You did imply that she and her brother had a incestual romp.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were banging, Garrett.
Maybe there's a chance she had already made the switch. It was already the imposter.
Could be. That's true, but
makes it less gross.
Not really, because I take that back. It 100% makes it less gross, but it's still extremely weird on her brother's part. If your sister dies and then somebody that looks exactly like your sister takes her place and claims to be your sister, don't bang that person. That's off limits. Don't bang that person.
Yeah. No, he's in the wrong across the board. I mean, I appreciate the PSA, but I think we were all on the same page on incest.
That's good. Glad to hear it.
And hey, they might be too. We're just connecting dots.
There's a Marilyn Manson cameo where he demands to be called daddy and she's really into it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Hello Kitty song, Garrett. It's creepy. It's stolen from Miss Stefani right down to either hiring or enslaving Asians. And there's
Hey, hold on. Now, she might have hired and or enslaved, but Miss Stefani purchased those women nice and legal.
Right, that's still slavery, Garrett. We've discussed this.
They're getting
For some reason, you think that if you pay another person to own a human being, that's not slavery, and it is.
Like, what if the other person's, like, into it?
Gray area.
All right.
The final thing for this album, the incessant sexualization of children and their interests. It's really gross.
You've convinced me. I wish it was on my list. I might want to take Metallica off and put yours on. I really didn't care for that album.
Yeah. So we mentioned at the end of that episode, Miss Lavigne, or the imposter, was diagnosed with Lyme disease.
Yes.
We also recently mentioned Miss Lavigne was coming out with a new album in February 2019.
Riding that podcast wave.
Yeah. The songs on the album are inspired by her battle with Lyme disease. Garrett, she wrote an album about having Lyme disease.
Yeah, she has openly admitted that. I've seen her say those words.
This is quoting her about her album. The album is personal, dear, intimate, dramatic, raw, powerful, strong, and unexpected. The record is a true emotional journey. These songs are so close to my heart. Wish me luck while I throw every last drop of me into these final stages. The pretension, Garrett.
Yeah, track 1, Rolling in the Leaves. Track 2, That Field Who Needs Shoes.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, Lyme disease.
All right, Garrett, 4th most hated album this year.
My number 4 least favorite album we did this year on the show. Chris Gaines, The Life of Chris Gaines.
Whoa,
episode 13.
But it was so good.
It was not, Tim. The audacity of Troy Brooks to put on a wig, mascara, and a face merkin
The best part about that is we had at least 4 people email in and say that they Googled Merkin because they didn't believe us, or maybe we didn't mention exactly what it was. I think we did, but
I thought we did.
Google it, and then we're just like, God damn it, guys, come on. It's in my history forever now. Google knows what I'm into.
Pubic wigs.
That's right.
I don't even know why either of us knew, let alone both of us knew.
It was a big thing in college, Garrett. That was something people said a lot.
It's true.
I don't know why. That is 100% true.
First of all, let's talk about the music. It is embarrassingly bad. Until he just gives in and starts singing country again, the other songs, I mean, Tim, do we remember? It's just the way of the girl. It's just the way of the girl.
God, I love it. I love it so much. Take it off your list, you fuck.
No way, man. That song is shit.
It's just the way of... No, it's not.
The way the girl.
God, it's bad. What a terrible idea.
Okay, so the man makes up an entire backstory for this fictitious character and makes it so over the top, so ridiculously self-aggrandizing. You've already won, man. Like, you have hit the jackpot. Somehow your jowly face has managed to top the charts year after year. You know what this is, Tim? This is Michael Jordan trying to play baseball.
Yeah, it is.
Granted, Michael Jordan didn't put on a wig, and I certainly can't imagine him wearing any mascara, let alone... Well, he did grow that Hitler mustache.
That's true. Let me ask you this. Is it possible that Garth Brooks had some serious gambling debt related to music and was briefly forced out?
I'd like to explore that further, but I can't right now, and do you know why? Because it's time for another Chris Gaines Fun Fact.
God damn it.
That's right. This is Chris Gaines Fun Fact 22655-A, and it reads, his debut album, Straight Jacket, in 1989, spent 224 weeks on the Billboard 200 and won a Grammy for Album of the Year. No, it didn't, because he's not an Australian-born rock singer. He is an overweight country music star that hit his heyday 20 years ago. That's not true, though. Have you seen Garth in the news?
Oh, man. He's got a huge concert series going on currently.
Yeah. Dude, I've been watching. His social media is hypnotic.
It's his best work. It is the best thing he has ever done.
What's crazy is I don't even know if we've ever even talked about it on the show, but Tim and I have had this wild fascination with Troy Brooks and specifically his introduction to Facebook. Go out and watch it. If you don't want to find it, hit me up on the social medias. I will find it for you and I will send it to you.
Just Google Garth joins Facebook.
And you won't be disappointed. Tim, I watch it at least once a week.
I mean, you text it to me at least once a week.
He has new videos. They're not as good as that first one, but he might not be a human. He's announcing his big-ass stadium tour, and he's got catchphrases like, I like that. Let's get physical with music? What in the world does that mean?
So that's not the best evidence that he's not a human, though. Did you ever see Men in Black, the first one?
Of course.
You remember there's the alien, it lands, and it's demanding sugar water? Vincent D'Onofrio. His skin fits worse than that.
Oh, well, that's an exaggeration slightly.
No.
But not much. I mean, I've been watching him a lot lately because he's been posting, trying to promote this tour. And let me just say, don't feel bad for Garth Brooks. He's making all the money. But you know who you should feel bad for?
Chris Gaines?
Chris Gaines. Yeah, because he is. Okay, Tim, for all the money on the board, how many times a week does Garth Brooks quietly go up to the attic, open up the chest, and slowly put on the Chris Gaines outfit and perform in the mirror?
It's probably part of his morning routine. I'm going to say 7 times per week.
Oh, do you think it's officially on his calendar? Like,
I think his phone beeps every morning and it's just like, hey, don't go out today. Not yet.
You got to do 45 minutes of CG time?
Yeah, he's got a set to do to no one.
He's got to go work on the latest remix of It Doesn't Matter to the Sun. Okay, Tim, if there was no other reason to put this album on this list, it is definitely for the cover of the Youngbloods.
That's true.
Right now.
Yeah.
How dare he, as Chris Gaines, as anyone, cover that song? There's no need for it.
He doesn't cover it. He steals the chorus and adds in verses.
Oh my God, you're right. That's the worst of all worlds.
He does a rap that's sort of the end of the world, the REM song, and then sings the Youngbloods as the chorus.
Wow. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this album. All right, Tim, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is The Fray, How to Save a Life.
It's a good choice.
It was by far the most boring album we listened to this year. Every song sounds the exact same. Every song is whiny. Every song is ludicrously self-important. Kind of the musical equivalent of virtue signaling. There's a lot of songs about how they're great people, and they're not. Yeah. They're sociopaths. And a lot of it's stolen from the Wallflowers, repackaged to appeal exclusively to Zach Braff. It's secretly a Christian album without having the balls to just call itself that. That might take it off the list if it just admitted it was a Christian album.
Oh yeah, we all know to lower the standards. I mean, for me, I have none. No standards. If you give me a Christian rock album, you know what I assume it is?
No.
Pure garbage.
Oh, I thought you had a more specific example than that.
Nope. Boy, Tim, we learned a lot that episode. That might be the birth of the sad sucker, because we learned that the lead singer fed on the sadness of that underprivileged youth at the camp that he helped out at.
Oh, he did suck his sad.
Okay.
He only went for a weekend and then wrote a song about how he poured his heart into it, helping this kid that weekend. And then
he made millions of dollars writing about a very moving experience he had over a 3-day weekend at a camp for kids that don't have much.
Also, that kid might have been a drug addict. I don't remember.
It was unclear. Yeah. I mean, if there was any reason to hate the Fray, the lead singer's name is Isaac Slade.
And he's committed vehicular homicide.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly, Garrett.
No, allegedly, Tim.
Okay.
Jesus. Come on, man. There are a lot of accusations in that episode, and it's based purely on fact. And by fact, of course, I mean the words in their songs. It points to somebody with a big secret and a lot of unaccounted for time.
And a lot of blood on his bumper.
Sure. I mean,
could be deer's
blood. A lot of deer.
We don't know.
Could be deer. A lot of deer have ponytails.
Such a beautiful
deer.
You
don't know. That was the same episode where you tried to convince me that two people could be meant for each other, but the timing was wrong.
I don't remember if that was the episode, but I stand behind that sentiment.
It was definitely the episode because that was on the song Vienna.
Oh, that's true. Probably should have listened to the episodes and not the songs.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot.
That would have been a lot less painful. Maybe. I hate my own voice, so I can't actually listen to this show.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You hate my voice?
Your voice is the worst.
Yeah.
No, I can't stand my own either. Just for fun, folks, we'll just kind of do this randomly. This is Garrett. I am not Tim. I do not say whenever in the place of when.
Yep. This is Garrett. I am not Tim.
No, that is Tim. That is Tim.
You are Tim.
You fuck. I am not Tim. I am the deeper, richer timbre.
Oh, well, I'm the one with the garbage voice.
That's right.
You're a cunt. I mean, you're right about my voice, 100%, but you're still a cunt. Track number 3.
Yeah, where are we now? Is it my number 3?
You're number 3.
Yes, so you had the Fray at number 4. My third least favorite album we did this year, episode number 4, Kanye West, The Life of Pablo.
Really?
Yep.
But you didn't hate it. Maybe you hated it at the end. That might have been an early time I got you there. One of the first times I got you there.
I think I ended up not hating it. Like I said, just full of contradictions and inconsistencies in this list. I'm just so sick and tired of this guy.
Yeah, he sucks. He's not a genius.
No, I will wholeheartedly say Kanye West has good rap albums.
Probably. But we'll never listen to him on this show. That's not what we're about.
Of course not. It's not what we're about. This isn't one of them. And this is the start of the decline, where he stopped taking his medication and a very obvious mental disorder began ruling his existence.
Yeah.
He's become a caricature of what he used to be.
Yes.
Now, it does have a number of songs, at least 2 that I count, that feature the Street Fighter perfects, and that's pretty great. Weirdly, not the only album we did this year to feature Street Fighter sound effects.
That's true.
What was very interesting to me, Tim, as I went back and I listened to our old episodes and I kind of looked over my notes, a couple things stood out. One, I used to handwrite my notes. Well, why, I have no idea. It looks like the scrawlings of a lunatic.
We should put pictures of that up on the internet.
I don't think I should, although I should, and you guys should remind me, I will begin posting photos from the Book of Poetry.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see how bloody it is.
You guys will see how bloody it isn't, and more importantly, you will see that we weren't lying to you. This thing is just as cringeworthy and embarrassing as we claimed it to be.
There's more drawings in there than you'd expect.
There are more drawings in there than you'd expect, and they're as bad as they are embarrassing. Back to Mr. West. Do you remember how many people worked on this album?
Like 111, something like that?
Yes. A professional football team and its entire staff worth of people people worked on this album. I think Infinity War had technically less people on the production team. And that's what they came up with, Tim. You give me the amount of time, money, resources, and people that he used to make this album, I guarantee you I will make something better. And it might even be a rap album. You know what else stood out to me as I went over my notes for Kanye West's The Life of Pablo?
What's that?
We used to focus a lot more on the music.
Yeah, but that's boring. At this point, I'm not even listening to the albums anymore. I'm just randomly selecting lyrics, throwing them in a Word document and reading them.
That's what the show is.
Well, it's mostly that. I can't discount, I try to fight off of some of your advances.
My advances?
Your advances, your physical and emotional advances.
Are you trying to confuse the listener again and pose as me? Are you posing as me right now?
I am not, Tim. Fuck you.
Okay, stop it. That's not funny. This is Garrett. That was Tim.
Yep.
Everybody knows.
Yep.
Tim's
this
like
is Garrett.
cowboys.
That was Tim.
This is not funny.
It's pretty funny.
It is kind of funny.
I would say at least 10 emails have questioned whether or not there are two of us and whether or not we switch voices halfway through the show, which I have to assume pisses Garrett off quite a bit because, as I previously mentioned, I have a garbage voice.
Yeah, it really makes me mad. I will admit we speak in a similar way, but we do not sound the same. Very rude. Anyway, Tim, I'm dying to know, what is your number 3?
D. Antwoord's Mount Ninja and the Good Time Kid.
I thought it was the Nice Time Kid.
In the Nice Time Kid.
Tim, how dare you? We had so much fun with that episode.
That's my
Tim,
point.
Let me ask.
Criteria.
Before you dig into it, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you like rats? Do you like...
I'm not participating in this.
Candy?
Stop trying
boobies?
to lure me into some sort of homosexual hole.
What was wrong with that album?
Dude, it's Zeff. That's the problem.
Oh, it's totally Zeff.
Yeah. The entire album made my brain hurt. The techno, the sick beats, Yolandi's stupid voice. My initial reaction to them at ACL was correct. Upon hearing the music, the correct reaction is to cover your ears and just run away.
They've really grown on me.
Let me read to you from Daddy. Baby girl like fun. Baby girl forgot to wear panties, so I smacked her on the bum bum. Baby girl love her daddy. Daddy he play rough. And daddy like to make his baby girl do unusual stuff. Baby girl turn around. Now take off all your clothes. Now let me see you touch your toes.
Wow. That is maybe the most egregious use of daddy we had all year.
This album is without question. There can be no argument. This is the single worst thing to ever happen inside the boundaries of South Africa.
I respectfully disagree.
Oh, Garrett, the skits, the liberal theft from other artists.
Yeah, that did sort of happen. They also quote their own songs quite a bit.
Yeah, it's weird.
It did spawn us discovering Ninja telling that story about making Drake sad.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say I don't hate them personally. I do, in fact, hate them personally. They are terrible garbage people.
So if I'm going to go hang out with D. Antwoord later, I should not invite you.
Yeah, please.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't want to hang out with us?
Okay, I do, but it's the same reason I enjoy doing this show. I get to see something truly awful. I might see a guy die.
You just think somebody might die?
Yeah, and I'm not saying like from violence or anything. I think that either from drugs, violence, just general ill health, a horrible accident.
Interesting. So you're not exactly lining up to do another episode?
Oh, I am. I'm totally game for another D. Antwoord episode. I really enjoyed our D. Antwoord episode. However, I think it's the third worst thing we listened to this year.
That's amazing. That episode got so much weird positive feedback. There are a number of people that started listening the week we did D. Antwoord, arguably one of the least popular albums we've ever done. Very strange.
This is forever my shame. I have introduced hundreds of people to D. Antwoord as a result of that episode.
Try thousands, kid.
Oh, well then I feel extremely bad. I apologize to all of those people.
I do not.
What's your number 2?
Episode 26, The Fray, How to Save a Life. I agreed with everything you said, and it's also why I knew so much about it, but I had to put it even higher. I hate that album. I hate the band, Tim. You know what? And I'm glad that we both had it for 2 reasons. One, it's good to know you still have terrible taste, or great taste in terrible, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can recognize shit. And 2, it allows me to say, R.I.P. Caleb.
Oh yeah, he is dead.
Whoa, we don't know. That's a placeholder. I mean,
So when we find out that he is in fact dead and has been dead since 2013,
right,
we'll edit this explanation out.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, listeners, help us find Caleb. And this is not like Moby. We know where Moby is. Well, we don't know where Moby is.
Well, we know where he is. He's just not answering his phone.
Sure, but can we be certain he's okay if he's not going to answer?
That's true.
But we do know where he should be. Caleb is off the map. Got kicked out of that band, worked as a roadie for his brother for several years, making considerably less than the band he was formerly a member of.
Right. While his brother wrote songs making fun of him.
Educating the masses on how much of a douche Caleb is in not subtle ways at all. I mean, that metaphor was so blatant, Tim, even you got it.
That's right. And I usually don't get metaphors.
No, not even close. So Caleb, if you're out there, reach out, buddy. We think that you deserve a second chance. You're just as talented as your brother.
Yeah, which is not very talented, but that should still be a double platinum.
Tim, what was your number 2 least favorite album so far this year?
Jack White's Boarding House Reach.
I was wondering if you would put this on there.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right to.
This makes the list for the sole reason that it should have been good. You and I have seen Jack enough times. We've heard 13, I think, previous albums. There's 6 White Stripes, 2 Raconteurs, 3 Dead Weather, 2 solo albums that were varying levels of good to excellent. I know a lot of people don't like him, but at least technically they were good, solid rock albums.
You know what? I'll even lower the bar. They were music, they were singing, and he tried really hard.
There was some weird stuff on some of them.
Anything with a marimba?
Sure, anything with a marimba, but still, that's music. Old Mary on Sea of Cowards was fucking weird.
Right.
And again, our listeners may argue about how good Jack White is.
And that's fine.
They were at least consistent in quality. And then he just threw a bunch of garbage that's the exact antithesis of everything he has done in his career. I have no explanation for it. I have no justification. I don't understand how it came to be other than he spent a lot of time listening to 6ix99, and that's never good.
That's not where you want to draw your inspiration.
Yeah, it's just a bad album. It probably deserves a spot on the worst of 2018 list anyway.
I mean, why does a dog need to be walked?
See, I still don't know because you tried to answer, but you didn't get me there.
Do you remember the mine shaft?
Yes.
So
getting that mine shaft, Garrett.
That's right. So as we discovered on that episode, Jack White may or may not have multiple personalities. I wish I could recall the name of his alter ego, but it escapes me at this time. My point is that during the making of Boarding House Reach, Jack White may have been locked away in the mine shaft, which is why he wrote a song called Get in the Mine Shaft. But you and I discussed whether or not there may be other personalities hiding in that mine shaft, among which possibly a dog.
There's also a beast.
There's always a beast, Tim. When you're dealing with multiple personalities, you flip through the Rolodex long enough, you're going to hit beast. As part of that conversation, we then wondered what would happen to all the feces from the dog in that mine shaft, right? Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, same thing in your house. That's why you got to walk them. They will poop in your house.
The mental feces.
Sure.
The emotional feces.
Your emotional feces.
Oh, it's not very nice.
I wrestled with this one, Tim, because that album is shit. Did I tell you I listened to it since we did that episode?
I listened to it this week. I listened to all 5 of these this week.
It's so bad.
It did have my favorite Amazon review, though.
Which one was that?
That was the one about taking a lady home that you meet in the bar and then she slits your throat.
That's right.
And it was somehow related to this album.
Imagine you're alone at a bar and you see the most beautiful woman ever. Oh, that was so weird. That was an Amazon review for music.
Yeah. What is your most hated album of the year?
I really wrestled with this one, Tim. I'll be honest. The album I chose as my number 1 least favorite album that we did this year started at 5 on my list because I knew I wanted it on there. And so I put it at 5 thinking it won't be my least favorite. As I added and got back in the headspace of these albums, this album, above all the others, is the most disappointing to me and just truly, truly forgettable. And that is episode 43, Carrie Underwood, Some Hearts.
Really?
Tim, that is our least popular episode by downloads to date.
Wow.
I think people just don't give a shit about Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, that's fair. They did in 2006?
Yeah. Even as I tried to claw together things we learned from that episode and reasons why I hate it, it really comes down to one thing for me, and it's not an exciting number one. Like these other ones I hate for various reasons, but they were still kind of fun. There's no fun in Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood is missionary style 10 years into a marriage, Tim. That doesn't sound fun, does it?
Oh, God damn it, dude. Stop.
What's up? You don't get metaphors. That's fine.
I enjoy
but our listening
hearing your
audience
father's stories as much as anyone.
Ew. Gross, dude.
I mean, again, he does mentor me in a number of ways, but he also talks to me a lot about sex, and it's inappropriate.
Wow, he has never once even said that word to me.
No, I know. You are still waiting for the talk.
I think I know how it works.
Let me be 100% clear. It's not the way you think.
I do not trust you. I feel like you are trying to lead me down a prickly path. Tim, what was your number one least favorite album of the year?
Least favorite was Florida Georgia Line's Here's to the Good Times / This Is How We Roll.
How dare you?
This is why I mentioned how I attempted to think these out at the beginning. Because
trying to justify yourself.
I loved doing this album. This album was meant for the show. We got a second career in Texas Toast out of this. And I think the episode is probably a high point for our show. Despite how much fun we had with it, this album sucks. It sucks so much. This was your idea. And again, I commend you. Perfect album for this show. It was also the worst thing you've ever done to this show.
Hey, Tim, I need you to stop all this complaining, focus on what's important, get right with Jesus, and could you do me a favor and just, tip it back?
These guys are the country and less profane version of Insane Clown Posse's Miracles. Just proud idiots.
Okay, yeah, they are proud idiots. Have you seen lately, though, they are coming out in favor of, or at least one of them is, of gun control.
You know what? No, fuck him. He doesn't get to do that. That is not tipping it back.
God, Tim, so much came from that episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode, and I will happily do another Florida Georgia Line episode, but this was the worst music that we listened to this year.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all. Did you hear Carrie Underwood?
Yeah.
What about the Fray?
Yeah, I did. Well, Carrie Underwood never once rapped. They rap a lot.
This one's for my people, from the backwoods to the steeple. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Oh, wait, no.
Yep, I'm in.
Different song.
This is bro country, new country. It's an entire album that's intended exclusively for use in Chevy Silverado commercials. I'm sure Florida and Georgia do not speak to each other.
Or?
Well, so there's the thing. They need to bang and get it over with.
Need to?
They need to, Garrett. They need to bang and get it over with so that they can be in love and have children and spend all their time banging and remodeling their kitchen together while not making music. It's bad music. It is.
I'm so lost. Why do they need to bang?
Oh, because they're clearly in love. I want them to be happy.
But they're just around each other too much, so they...
Yeah, look, whenever two men of generally the same generation are recording music, recording their voices together, because they're neither one of them a musician, they're both just singers.
Well, one of them is. One of them, I think, just stands in the back.
Fair enough, but his voice is featured on the album to some extent. My point is that there's a little friction there. They spend so much time together, and maybe they need to just take a year off, not produce an album or a podcast, and just really explore each other.
Just find a nice house to rent in the south of France. Just focus on learning another culture and learning about each other, right?
Southern Georgia, northern Florida, I hear, is very nice.
Tim, I don't think they do that. We're definitely not doing that. That was a thinly veiled attempt to try to get me to run away with you yet again. Your hypothetical was poorly disguised. I can't agree with you. I think we had way worse music. I still remember the words to that song.
Yeah, I do too.
And I guess the second half was Sir Mix-a-Lot, but same song.
Oh, Nelly was featured on that album.
He sure was, because he has tax problems. All right, Tim, so let's take a look at the albums that weren't quite bad enough to make their way into our top 5, but were still bad enough that we needed to mention in the honorable mention of things that were just shitty this year.
Okay, Insane Clown Posse.
That's a good pick. That's a real good pick. That one was better musically than I expected, just as bad as I expected on the lyrics front.
And far, far worse on the skit front.
And you know what's even more irritating about the skit? They don't even tell the story they're trying to tell.
Yes.
It turns out poor musicians and lyricists are also bad at telling stories.
Who knew?
Okay, my first honorable mention is My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade.
Oh, yeah. That one, again, technically it was a lot better than I thought. They just followed really bad instincts. Like, it just always devolved back into pop punk, and it never should have been pop punk at all.
No, they should have gone all the way in with the whole rock opera theme sort of a deal. Mm-hmm. It was just a huge letdown. People explained it as a journey through the afterlife. I don't know if he was... he dies of cancer, and then he's led through the afterlife. That's not what that album's about at all. We don't even know. He doesn't even die.
Maybe. We don't know. Again,
we know he doesn't die.
We're like 10 weeks out from that, and we cannot be sure.
That alone definitely puts it on the honorable mention list. I almost want to bump Metallica and put this one on there. What's up next for you?
Slipknot self-titled piece of garbage.
Tim, guess what? That's my next one.
The good thing about that one for me is I knew exactly how much you hated it.
Yeah, I really did hate this. This is... And now I'm going to drop several pots and pans and various pieces of aluminum in a large warehouse.
Yep.
It's just not good.
It was fun, though. I enjoyed it.
It was so much fun. Who knew that you could keep a bird in a jar and then have people taste that bird?
There should be a law against it, right?
What I love about that episode, Tim, is we learned one of the members of the band began wearing latex gloves while doing meet and greets due to the excessive filthiness of his fans. And the other band members were like, oh man, that's not cool, until he began showing them at the end of each night that those gloves were like black from the filth. Talk about a situation where you hate the people that like you. Do you think we'll ever be in that situation, Tim, where we hate the listeners of our own show?
I hope so.
You and I are in this for very different reasons.
Oh.
All right, Tim, what was your next honorable mention?
My next one is 6699. I think the reason I didn't put him on, I mean, I hated his album, but I wasn't sure if I hated his music.
If you hate the man or the music?
Him. Also, you told me I should be afraid of him, so I didn't want to make him top 5 because now I'm afraid of him.
I can't tell whether or not I should be afraid of him. And it's not necessarily him, especially now that he's locked safely away. But he does seem to be pretty good friends with a lot of various other people that I am definitely afraid of.
Yeah.
Well, we're back in sync again, buddy, because that was my next one as well.
Excellent.
So why don't you tell us what is next on your honorable mention list?
This is 2 bands I think are the same band, Creed and Nickelback.
Creedleback.
Creedleneck. Nickelede. Reed.
Yeah, that one doesn't work.
Both of these bands were inexplicably popular, and I didn't get it then, don't get it now. They seem like parody, but they're still out there doing this thing, and people are still out going to it.
It's so confusing. You and I were looking forward to both of those episodes, and I think listeners of the show were looking forward to those episodes. And they're good episodes, folks. If you haven't heard them, go back and listen. They're funny episodes, but they're no Florida Georgia Line. They're no Lobster Martini Asshole Banana. They're so predictably bad and so heavily trodden territory that there just wasn't even much for us to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't make an episode, folks, where we sit in utter silence and just point to the CD here on the studio.
Oh, we should do that.
No. God, your ideas. Well, we finally have a divergence, Tim. Next up on my honorable mention list is Eminem Revival.
Oh, because you hate low T and what it can do to a person. Projecting.
What?
No, you've got great T.
Yeah, no one has ever accused me.
Your T is sky high.
Yeah, I got T coming out of my B and T and Z's.
What?
I've got T just pouring out of me is all I'm saying.
Okay, but out of your B?
It's not important, Tim. These are all medical acronyms. We don't need to get into it. But
okay.
Yeah, this album's so bad. It was such a big swing, and you can tell that he was never really on board. Somebody talked him into it because his albums have not done well and people laugh at him. It did so poorly and made so many more people laugh at him that he released another album, and people did not like it either.
But I think it was far better received than Revival. Also should be noted that he essentially stole the entire thing from Lil Wayne. Lol, if you will. Lol.
I mean, there were parts of it that definitely sounded the same, but Eminem
I think he was trying to make that album.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying like he didn't steal anything directly from it. He listened to that album and said, I can do that too.
Right, but he had the bravery to just straight up play another song as his song.
Lil Wayne had the intelligence to play a song that was somewhat more obscure than A Zombie by the fucking Cranberries.
What is next on your honorable mention list, Tim?
Well, next and last on my honorable mention list is Sugar Ray's 1459.
What?
Garrett, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the episode. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy listening to it. I'm saying it is bad music.
Sure, but I can name at least 37 other albums that are worse.
Smash Mouth? Because that's sort of the same album, just with less halos and pictures on the net that are getting people in trouble.
Yeah, boy, that's a tough question. What's worse, Smash Mouth or Sugar Ray?
I was really hoping you were going to say, what's worse, Smash Mouth or child pornography?
Of course not. We all know the answer to that.
That's right, we do.
Don't even need to say it.
Nope, so we won't. What's your last one?
The last on my list of honorable mentions for episodes this year is none other than the one, the only, episode 11, Limp Bizkit, Significant Other. How dare they? How was this ever popular?
I don't know. It was a dark time. I had a really good time deconstructing it and coming up with theories such as the now fully vetted and proven theory that Fred Durst was then and is now a virgin. No longer allegedly. Yeah, it's a terrible
Allegedly,
album.
though.
No, virgin.
Allegedly. Tim, we will get sued. I don't think you understand how easy it is.
I do, Garrett. I am willing to trade all my current earthly possessions to be free of the show.
Oh, okay. You're trying to sabotage the show again.
That's right. I mean, I agree. That's definitely one that's on there. I would put Korn in the same boat. I think it's another one of those that's just so bizarre and should never have happened.
I can at least understand that Korn would be viewed as a more hardcore, like a 14-year-old would feel like that's at least more rebellious. When you look at Limp Bizkit, it looks manufactured. It looks like a businessman was just like, all right, let's get that backwards hat on. What team should he be a part of? Well, we don't want anybody to be left out, so let's just make it a logoless red cap.
No, it was a New York Yankees hat, man.
Oh, was it?
Well, absolutely was. I knew people maybe in like freshman year of high school that wore a red New York Yankees hat because of that asshole.
Wow.
Yeah.
How embarrassing. And I thought my high school was embarrassing.
It was. You should hide it and not broadcast it. I mean, I'm glad you do, but
yeah, it's pretty funny.
I wouldn't.
Jesus Christ. All right, Tim. Well, that brings us to who gets a second look? Who do we need to revisit in year 2 of the show? Who were we maybe too hard on? Who were we not hard enough on?
One that needs a second look, just from the standpoint of there's a second album that is probably worse. Week number 2's Sublime.
That's on my list for sure.
We've had a number of requests to do 40 Ounce to Freedom. I'm in. That album sucks.
What if we did? This would be so fucking insane, and we could do it for a few years. We do the exact same artists every week that we did in year 1, just the next album.
Oh, God.
Oh, that'd be so crazy.
I don't want
Let's
to.
not do that.
I don't want to.
No, we have already made this entire endeavor so much harder than it ever needed to be. Let's not do that. Yeah, that's a good one. I definitely had Sublime on the list. My next one, I think you're really going to want to take another look at. LMFAO.
Oh, God, no. Garrett, no.
Tim.
Garrett, I don't want to get back into the
workout.
Garrett, they kissed. They kissed and then they broke up.
No. I thought you determined that they touched tips.
They lips and tips, Garrett. That's
God.
Nude lips and tips.
That didn't happen.
But here's the thing. Their lips touched other lips and the tips touched other tips. It wasn't a lip to tip.
Right. No one was confused about that.
Okay.
I'm a little confused.
All right. So, fully naked, facing each other.
Oh, God, no. I thought you were going to move on. Who else gets a second look?
This isn't a band that I think needs a second look on our show. It's one that I think we were possibly too hard on, and that's Portugal the Man.
That was on my list as well. And I think we were way too hard on them.
I think it's still a bad album. Seeing them live probably had something to do with this after this album came out.
Sure.
At least half the songs are still garbage, but think about Jack White, Garrett. Think about how much better this album was than Jack's Fall from Grace. I can't hate it after the Jack episode.
It's light years better, Tim.
Yeah.
It might be better than every other album we did this year.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
no.
not Blink-182.
Blink-182. You love Real Big Fish. You love LMFAO.
No, I do not love Real Big Fish. I do not love LMFAO. What is wrong with you?
You love their music. You love 6ix9ine. Are you fear
I definitely
him?
Don't.
I get those two mixed up.
Yeah, you do.
I am the perfect subject for a dictator.
You are easily ruled. The hard thing about doing Portugal the Man is we like all their other albums.
Well, sure, I wouldn't necessarily do another album. I just think we were too hard on them.
I agree. Another one that I'd like a second look at is none other than Smash Mouth.
I'm 100% in, and here's why. At some point since we started doing this show, they re-recorded their first album, Fush You Mang, I believe it is, acoustically. Yes. And I'm totally in.
I'm out.
No, let's do it next week.
No, we don't have time to listen to 2 albums in a week.
But they're the same album, Garrett.
Right. If they're the same album, we don't need to listen to both.
But one's acoustic.
Right, so they're not the same.
Let's just do it. Let's put it on the list for next week.
Right. Well, next week we might have other things to do. What else you have?
Gwen Stefani, mostly because I just want to do another Gwen Stefani album.
Without Bananas, though?
Who knows? We don't know what else is out there.
I mean, I knew about that music video before we did that album. Yeah, but that was
because it was masturbatory fodder for a 12 to... Wait, no, how old?
Please don't talk about my fodder, whether it be masturbatory or otherwise. But
okay.
Yeah, it was. When is she going to do a duet with that asshole she's always running around with?
I believe she has.
Yeah, I would definitely revisit Miss Stefani. Now, this next one, Tim, I sort of tipped my hat already. I really want to revisit him, especially now, and that is Mr. Garth Brooks.
Yeah, I have the same thing for Garth Brooks, the same thing for James Buffet, because we've listened to 1985 and before on that guy, and we've listened to Garth Brooks before the 10-year absence from music. I'd love to know what both of those guys sound like current.
Well, especially because on the Jimmy Buffett episode, all the reviews said, boy, what is this? I'm apparently a modern day Parrot Head. I don't know any other songs than the Greatest Hits album.
The only other one that I even know of is the It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. He did it with like Alan Jackson and then opened a series of bars called It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, also with Alan Jackson.
I hope Alan Jackson got in on that. Anyone else on your Who Gets a Second Look list?
I have one more that I fear will be on the list next year. That is Mr. Jack White.
Oh, no.
I hope to God we don't have to do it, but he is coming out with a new Raconteurs album in 2019. God, I don't want to do an episode on it.
As we sit right here, Tim, not a mere 25 feet away, I have a new pressing single of that Raconteurs album.
Oh.
Special edition vinyl, just nestled on my shelf. I haven't even heard it.
That's weird.
Man, I've been very busy this week with the holidays and such.
Yeah.
All of my friends and family. Did that sound real?
Real enough.
So I have just one more on my list, Tim, and this might surprise you. I think we need to give a second, deeper look and a fairer look to Mr. Rage Against the Machine. We were pretty harsh on him. You love them.
So, no, that's not accurate.
It's mostly accurate. I feel like now with the experience you and I have, as we've broadened our definition of what is awful, I don't know about you, Tim, but the bar has been set so much lower than I ever thought humanly possible.
I could argue that the Rage Against the Machine album that we did could be a good album simply by slashing 30 minutes out of it. You make that thing an EP, not terrible.
I don't remember it being very long.
It was so...
Oh, you're right.
Every one of the songs could use a 50% reduction in the check this shit out. The third guitar solo could probably go.
Not the third one, Tim.
Okay, fine. We'll keep the first and the third, get rid of the second, and just push it together. Is that fair?
That's compromise. Good list. All right, Tim. For a change of pace, a breath of fresh air, what did you like this year?
So my list is actually some of 2017 as well. Frankly, I haven't had that much time to listen to music I actually like, thanks to this fucking life sentence that is this show.
As our listeners may or may not know, you have fashioned your own calendar in which every 2 months is just 1 month.
It makes me feel better about the passing of time.
Right. Yeah,
I've also
terrifically
created
difficult to make a lunch date with you.
But it does not work. There's something you may not know. Calendars have very few gears, but clocks have quite a number.
Your clock looks great, but it is missing literally all of the clock insides.
Yes. Yes, it does not work.
How do you want to do this, Tim? You just want to go back and forth, talk a little bit about what you might have caught this year that you enjoyed in no particular order. These are not our favorites of the year. This isn't a ranking. This is just literally music we managed to listen to when we weren't constantly listening to bad music.
Yeah.
And I purposely went out of my way to pick a few things that folks might not have heard of before, not just your standards. Yeah, like if I'm like, hey, listen to Kendrick Lamar, damn. Like, yeah, people know.
My first one, I think, is the Eels' newest album, The Deconstruction.
I have not heard that album.
Really? You should hear it.
Fair enough. First one I'm going to mention is an album called Lush by a band called Snail Mail. It's a indie rock lady singer. Pretty good. Nothing terribly exciting to say about it.
All right.
I enjoyed it.
That's fair. And I think you may disagree with me on this one, but Papa John, Father John Misty.
Oh, I didn't even listen to it. I'm just Father John Mistied out.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He is at every festival. He is constantly playing in my head. I don't like it.
His last album wasn't that long ago.
He had one in 2017, Pure Comedy, and then this year he did God's Favorite Customer.
Yeah, so I caught 2017's, but I did not do 2018.
I enjoy Josh Tillman's music in general. Really don't think I'd like him personally.
He seems like a handful.
He does that detached, ironic hipster thing that's just smarter than everyone else in the room, and he just takes it to the next level.
Next one on my list is Mount Erie, Now Only. Did you catch this one?
I did. It's like a little EP from A Crow Looked at Me.
Exactly. And A Crow Looked at Me, I think that's technically 2017.
It is, yeah.
It's a beautiful album. It was recorded in this man's own home in his bedroom where his wife died shortly before he began recording this. She died tragically. He's from, God, what's the name of that band? Not the Microphones.
I was going to say the Microphones.
It might be the Microphones.
I think it's the Microphones.
I believe it's the lead singer of the Microphones. Yeah. And this is his way of dealing with it. It's an amazing album, but it is a huge downer.
Yeah, it's one of those. I actually had that on my list as well. Both The Crow Looked at Me and the 2018 EP. I don't know that I can necessarily recommend it to anyone because they might kill themselves. And it is also worth noting, it is musically sparse. There is a guitar, occasionally some other instruments, but we mentioned this with, what was that? The troll, the redheaded troll guy.
Oh, Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, we mentioned that with him whenever he wrote this pop song about for his grandmother's funeral or something like that.
Oh, right.
This is not that. This is a guy who does not give a shit how he sounds. He is making this album for him so he can grieve. He does not give a shit if you like it or if you buy it.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, if you're literally looking to just weep openly and need a theme song for or a soundtrack for that, here's a good place for it. What's next?
The next is not really an album. It's an artist, Ty Segall. I don't know how to say his name. And I can't necessarily recommend an album because he has released like 4 albums this year, like 7 last year.
Yeah, I mean, you're not joking, but I mean, allow me to. I will recommend 2 that he has released in 2018. Freedom's Goblin, great album.
Yeah.
And have you heard his album of covers, Fudge Sandwich?
No.
Ooh, you're going to really enjoy that. It's great. I heard it last night.
All right. And he's very kind of punk fuzz.
Yeah, well, depends on which band you hear. So
it's true.
He's got 2 self-titled albums called Ty Segall, one in 2017, one in 2013-ish. He's also in several other bands. So you can't just look for Ty Segall because you might get White Fence, you might get Fuzz. He just started a new band with his wife. I don't remember the name of it. And they're all very good, but they're all very different. The ones that I recommended, well, one's a covers album, which is very odd, but it's kind of sort of a drug rock kind of a thing, stoner metal, but better. I've seen him as Ty Segall, I've seen him as White Fence, and I've seen him as Fuzz. Ty Segall is definitely the best. That's a great album. Since you stole one of mine, I'll steal one of yours. It has to be on your list. Neil Young, Songs for Judy. 24 songs from a solo show. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Neil Young. Songs for Judy is great. That came out from when we're recording this a couple of weeks ago. He also did Hitchhiker, I think in 2017, which was just him stoned out of his gourd in a recording studio, just doing 9 or 10 songs solo acoustic. Some of which you've heard before, most of which you haven't heard solo acoustic, but they're all great versions of them. God bless that man. Yeah. All right, Tim, what do you got next? Next one is a weird one that I don't think you have heard. It is Bobby Sessions' Revolution Chapter 1, Divided States of America. That is that is my rap suggestion for the year.
Weirdly, I heard Robert on the Intercepted podcast talking about his upbringing in Dallas, his cousin being killed by a Dallas police officer while unarmed, and how he was inspired by the book The Secret. It was a weird interview, but it's a good album. It's one of those rap albums where he was like, hey, I got something to say, not I got a bunch of sick beats.
Or check out all the money and hoes I have.
I'm not sure if he doesn't have any hoes or if he just left the hoes off the album.
I suspect it's that he just isn't bragging about his hoes.
Yes, that could be.
All right, Tim, I'll match your rip for rap. My recommendation would be Black Milk Fever.
Oh, yeah, I like him.
I know you like the Black Milk.
Haven't heard that album, though.
I have heard it one time through, so take it with a small grain of salt.
I have Algiers, The Underside of Power. I don't know if
that's a good one.
Have you heard it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's a band that blends genres together to create something interesting and not do nu metal. They do like this post-punk thing. They mix it with a little bit of R&B, a little bit of gospel music, all sorts of other things. It's probably not for everyone. I enjoyed it. It's probably not for me, and I enjoyed it.
There you go. My next one is just a band, not a particular album. I caught them at ACL this year, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. That band is Japanese Breakfast.
I like the name.
It's a good name. Like I said, I don't know much about them. I had heard like 2 songs, so I was like, yeah, I'll go check that out. And ACL was kind of lame this year, so I was happy to find a band I really dug.
All right. Leopold and his fiction, Darling Destroyer. I don't know that came out this year. I'm not sure when it came out, but it's really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it came out either. That's a local Austin band.
Used to be a local San Francisco band.
Then they moved here, cut their hair, and got their act together. Love that band.
Yeah.
Mine will be OC's Smote Reverser. It's the latest album from the OC's, an LA punk and not hardcore, punk garage. If you get the chance to go see the OC's, I guess now they're just called OC's, but they used to be called the OC's.
Yeah, they used to be called the OC's, the OC's, OC's, OHSEES, the letter O, the letter C, S. They make it difficult to buy their records.
Yeah, now you can find them under OH space SEES. And that'll get you to most of it. The albums that I know the best is when they were known as the OCs, THEE.
Yes.
And then all the other shit I just said. But this is the one they came out with this year. It's pretty good. If you get the opportunity to go see the OCs, that's what I truly recommend. That's a fun band. They come to Austin a shit ton. They're one of my South by mainstays. I usually catch them at least once a year. In fact, there's a video on YouTube of them performing outside of Home Slice at the Third Man Records tent, and you will see a possibly unbearded, short-haired, like really short-haired, head-bobbing weirdo in the rain in the front row. And that is me.
Oh.
All right, Tim, we should probably keep it going. What else you got?
The last one for me, and I don't think you've heard this, kind of actually a plug. The lead singer is one of our friends from college, but it's good blues rock, and that is the Royal Sons' Praise and Warships.
Oh, yeah, I have not heard their new album.
Their only album, because they used to be the Hanna-Barbarians.
Part of them used to be.
Well, yeah.
They half used to be, maybe?
I don't know. The one that we know.
Well, I know all of them.
Well, the one that we knew going into it.
I have a couple more. I'll go through them real quick. King Tough, the other. The last one I have is Jeff the Brotherhood. You familiar with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a new album, Magic Songs. Now, if you're down on Jeff the Brotherhood, their last 2 albums were released on, I think, Warner Music, and they were not great. In fact, they were so not great, and everyone agreed they were so not great, Warner dumped them. This is their first indie release since they were signed to a major label, and it is much, much better. They're another Austin band now. They moved here a little while ago, so I've seen them a few times. It's great to see live, and I think their new album's pretty good.
Does Kaleo have another album?
Not that I know of. Okay. You're talking about the Icelandic band Kaleo, Kaleo. Their debut album came out 2 years ago, I guess, maybe now. They moved oddly to Austin from
Seems
from
to be
Iceland.
A theme.
Yeah, they got signed by a local label here, and so they were all over the place for a little bit. I in fact went to their record release party, and there were a bunch of douchebags that had no idea who the band were, but they were super excited that they had laminates. Oh, it was terrible. And they were just talking through these poor kids' set. Anyway, nice to talk about music we enjoyed for once.
Probably won't happen for another year, so.
At least. I don't know when we would have time to listen to them.
God damn it. Let's quit the show, Garrett. This is a perfect last episode.
God, you're kind of right. Just a nice little coda on the end.
Yeah, some things we regret, some things we did that we liked, some music we liked. Just go radio silent. No one ever hears from us again. Let's do it, Garrett. We have to do this.
Shut down the website.
No.
Keep
it up.
Media.
Just don't ever update it. Like the Space Jam website.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's still going.
No.
It is. The original website for Space Jam is still on the internet.
Oh my God, people, go to spacejam.com. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's it. You got Jam Central, Planet B-Ball.
This is incredible.
Ooh, behind the jam. Now that's where I want to be.
Oh my God, Tim. Look at, folks, this is amazing. This whole episode is worth this. Go to spacejam.com. It is straight out of whatever year Space Jam came out, 1996.
And here, we brought it back around to Jordan playing baseball.
Yeah, you're right. This is amazing. All right, we can't waste all day on the Space Jam website, though.
Yeah, but we'll be back.
I'm just going to minimize it. It's not going away. So all in all, Tim, that wraps up our year in review. I think those were great lists for our first ever year in review. What do you think of the year? Was it a good year?
Great year. I mean, I hated every minute of it. I hate you. We have become less good friends as a result. But yeah, all in all, pretty good year.
Yeah, I mean, that animosity and petty, passive-aggressive nature that I spoke about with the Metallica episode, I get it now.
Yeah, we need Dr. Towel. We need him to prevent us from Lennon and McCartneying. Lennon and McCartneying.
We'll call it something else, but you're right. We need Dr. Towel in here immediately.
Yes. We have to prevent him from giving us notes for the show, though. Or we could just make him the third. He probably costs a lot of money.
Yes, his time is considerably more expensive than what we make per hour on the show. And I like to think that nothing is out of the financial grasp of this show, but Dr. Towel might very well be as a co-host. Now, we can certainly afford his services. We'll have to Skype him in. I'm not paying to fly that asshole here, and he's not staying at my house.
Dude, we have those 2 guest rooms.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
We can just put him in the guest room. Tim, again, why don't we use the guest rooms?
Well, because, Garrett, to maintain our rapport, we have to be in constant contact. So whenever you're asleep and I have an idea, you're right there. I could just wake you up and tell you.
Yeah, you can't be bothered to open your door, walk across the entire living room, our current cohabitating space, and then open into my door.
Yeah, well, I feel it's creepy because,
Right, there's a barrier there.
If you're behind a door, I don't know what you're doing in there. I might feel bad about opening that door, but you're right there. I can just reach over and touch your face anytime I want.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't. Or like you do when I'm sleeping and you scream ideas at me.
Well, a lot of times I will touch your face so that you don't miss the first part of the idea whenever I scream it. But yeah, that's the year.
That's the... I want to point out we began the year living in separate residences. I had a home.
I
owned a home. I mean, I technically legally still own that home, but I live here.
Not going back.
Yeah, no, I live with you.
Yep.
Jesus.
Forever and ever.
I want to thank our listeners, Tim, because we have grown, we're always looking to grow, but just a big thank you to everybody who took a chance on a couple of young, plucky kids who wanted to start a show.
One young kid and his much older male companion.
No part of that sentence is accurate. Well, the male part. But the rest was alarming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for supporting the show. And thank you for telling other people to listen. We appreciate it. It means a ton. And let's hope to have an even better 2019. New surprises, new segments, new poetry. Tim, is there anything else you want to close out 2018 with?
I would also like to say thank you. But other than that, no.
Just riding my coattails all the way through this.
Yep.
Okay. Well, for Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been and continue to be the other, Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed, it's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.